Hello, and welcome to Zap the Gender Pay Gap, the podcast series where we expose the elephant in the room. The elephant's name, the gender pay gap. I am coming to you from Memphis, Tennessee, located on the banks of the mighty Mississippi River. Nestled in the southwest corner of the state, Memphis is home to the blues, barbecue, and so much more. I am your host, Gwendolyn Tucker.
Thank you so very much for joining me for this episode of Zap the Gender Pay Gap. I am your host, Gwendolyn Tucker. So, where do you find your favorite podcast? On Apple or Spotify or Google or YouTube? Well, guess what? You can find my podcast there too. I would love it if you would listen, subscribe, and even like it as well. Now, boy, do I have a treat for you. We just celebrated Independence Day in the United States. It's a federal holiday observed on July 4th and commemorates the Declaration of Independence of the United States of America. It signifies the birth of our nation on July 4th, 1776. Family and friends gather for fun, fellowship, and boodles of food. Bukudos. Yes, you heard that right. You probably thought it wasn't a word, huh? But it is. It means lots and lots of food. And boy, did we enjoy it. My husband and I got the chance to enjoy family on both sides. On mine, with a family reunion that started on the eve of July 1, and it continued for 3 days, 3 glorious days. On his side, we got an opportunity to share and end with a huge family gathering. But just because the festivities and observing the day is over, it does not mean that we can stop observing independence, nor does it mean that the fight for independence is over. You may be asking yourself, so just what do you mean? Well, as Pastor Kraft used to say, I'm glad you asked. Let's take a closer look at that word independence. What comes to your mind when you hear that word? Does the word freedom come to mind? Perhaps self sufficiency or liberty, or another word, self determination. Dictionary.com defines it as the fact or state of being independent. Now, although we observe the Declaration of Independence for the United States of America on July 4th, the reality is that everyone does not experience the same degree of independence or freedom. And that's definitely the case when it comes to financial independence. You may be thinking to yourself, say more about financial independence. I'd be happy to. I really like this definition. Financial independence is the ability to make decisions without the pressure and stress of the financial impact and what it's going to cost. Imagine not feeling stressed or pressured when making decisions about expenditures related to a bill or something unexpected or unexpected. Now, financial independence doesn't mean that you don't consider the costs or the money implications, but it does mean you're not under pressure or stressed because something may cost too much or because you don't have the funds to pay for it. In a previous episode of this podcast, I shared that I was making more than 100K base pay plus bonus plus bennies in the form of stock options when I left the paper industry. In today's dollars, my base pay plus bonus alone would be close to 225K. It provided me with enough cash flow to not only fund my present, but my future as well. Talk about a greater degree of financial independence. I didn't have to rely on debt, especially costly credit card debt, to fund my lifestyle. I was able to maintain a great credit score. And in case you don't know it, your credit score determines how much money you can borrow, how much it's going to cost you, and so much more. So focusing on and maintaining a great credit score is really a huge deal, especially from a financial standpoint. I enjoyed a level of financial freedom that reduced the stress and pressure when it came to paying monthly bills, taking a trip home to see my family, taking a vacation, or just enjoying life day to day. Now, you may be asking yourself, what in the world does all this have to do with the gender pay gap? Again, I'm very glad you asked. I've said it many times before, and it bears repeating again. I created this podcast series to do three things: to expose the elephant in the room, to make it visible, to uncover it, and to reveal its true nature. Two, to disclose some pertinent facts about this elephant in the room that may have been previously unknown to you. And then to determine just how do we dispose of the effects of this elephant in the room? How do we get rid of it and get it out of our territory altogether? I go into much more detail on episode 19, where I urge you to face some facts about the gender pay gap, but I'll share just a few of those here. Number one, the female to male earnings ratio has hovered around 82% for the last 20 years, for far too long. And you may ask, so what does that mean? Well, it means that on average, women earn 18% less than men. Said another way, females earn 82 cents for every dollar men earn. Just imagine opening up your payday candy bar and you get 82% of a candy bar versus 100%. Well, that's what the gender pay gap represents, that difference of 18%. Now, the pay gap also, it varies by age. And so even starting out of college, I just had a conversation with a young lady who recognized that when she started her job, she was paid less than her male counterparts in a similar or same type of role. So starting out of college, females earn less than males. And when you look at the difference by age, females 20 to 24 years of age on average earn about 7% less than males, not at 93.5%. And as they age and mature, for 25 to 30 year olds, the earnings ratio is 89.5%, about 90%. Okay. And then for 35 to 44 years of age, it's 81%. Do you see the trend? The gap is increasing, it's getting worse. And as women age, 45 to 54 and 55 to 64, and that it's around 77%. Okay. Now it only increases slightly for females 65 and up at about 80%. So you can see that the pay gap, it varies by age. Another fact is that the pay gap is larger for women of color. So it's larger than 18%. And the gender pay gap, it varies by state. Yes, you heard that right. The female to male earnings ratio is lower in some states compared to others. And then the gender pay gap varies widely by occupation. Now, it is true that this elephant in the room is managing to take about 18% of a woman's paycheck. Now, for some women, it may be less, but for others, it is a lot more. This elephant, whose name is the gender pay gap, not only reduces a woman's paycheck in the present, it also affects her future. Is it possible that woman is you? If so, I would love to help you change that. How? By showing you what's possible for you. It's easy to talk about the fact that women consistently earn less than men, even those in the same roles, but the picture changes when it's you. When you are earning 18% less, when you are stressed about meeting your financial obligations. Perhaps this may be the month in which you state your Declaration of Independence. This could be the month, July 2023, when you put a stake in the sand and make some decisions about creating a greater degree of financial independence. I host a conversation on ways to get a raise in 90 days. In it, I share how I grew my salary over the course of my career in paper manufacturing. It should give you some ideas on how you can grow yours too. And also be thinking about how much more money you'd like to earn. Just this weekend, I was talking with a young lady who took a job in recruiting. The role paid base plus bonus, and the bonus was based on performance. She knew how much she wanted to earn, and she knew what she needed to do to earn that amount. She performed so well that she was promoted to manager over the entire department. Now, that's what I'm talking about. She set her sights on her goal and she reached it. Did she have to put forth effort? Absolutely. But she was serious. And I'm serious too. I am serious about reaching a greater degree of financial independence and helping you do that as well. Are you? If you are serious about creating a greater degree of financial independence, please plan to catch episodes of my podcasts for this entire month. Just remember, no one can pay you what you're worth because you're simply too valuable, but you can be paid what your contributions are worth. I believe you have so many opportunities available to you. It's just a matter of selecting the one that's best for you. Don't you think it's high time you declare your independence, your financial independence? I know. I think so too. I'd love to show you how. Please plan to join me next week as I talk about ways to get a raise in 90 days and how I did that. And not only that, but how you can do it too. Thank you so very much for joining me today. I look forward to seeing you next Wednesday at noon Central Time for the next episode of Zap, the Gender Pay Gap. Until then, please be well.
Thank you for joining me for this episode of Zap, the Gender Pay Gap. Please rate, review, and subscribe to or follow me wherever you get your favorite podcast. I am your host, Gwendolyn Tucker. Thanks so much for listening. See you next time.